If you have small children, please tell them to look away now, because I'm going to have to show my vexed face. And you know, when you see that me do that face, and we've talked about this, that's something bad happened. Okay, what's this video about? Loss of gun rights in Canada. Apparently for all those people who keep us safe and those who do not believe we are capable of thinking for ourselves, Chief Firearms Officers, CFOs of the RCMP, have now said, oh, we are concerned about the, these deadly weapons that we have in Canada. Our Firearms Act needs to be updated. So they sent off the best I understand, they sent off a list of rifles to Vic Toews, who, at this point, I can't stress enough, you are going to have to get proactive if you want to keep your gun rights. This means your bolt actions, your semi-automatics, break barrels, it's incremental. Again, anybody that's been following my channel has realized how many gun rights from machine gun ownership to now where we're at, how much we've lost. And it's always giving up being reasonable because we think and we believe. So what do the chief firearms officers think and believe? Well, apparently a CZ858 was used in a crime, which those of you who are not familiar with this rifle, it's a neat little rifle. Go look into it. I won't get too much into it. It looks like an AK, but it's not. And it was also, that was the same rifle that was used on the PQ assassination attempt. Pauline Marois, that idiot. Which I'm pretty sure she'd be pretty happy. Now, if you're a Quebec gun owner, this is where you go, hey, aren't you happy that the law Quebecois, because if this bill passes, which so far Vic Toews has said, no, we don't need to update it. But when it does pass, that means all the registered rifles in Quebec are now going to be easy pickings for the RCMP. So once again, this is not the government bringing in law. This is police bringing it on. What is the RCMP? Well, they're a branch of the military. So basically, I would not be surprised at all if there's a connection to IANSA and the Coalition for Gun Control, obviously here in Canada. Again, minority dictating to the majority. And of course, I would not be surprised, because we did sign the United Nations Small Arms Trade Treaty deal, if that's going to come back to bite us in the ass on this issue. Why? Because a Swiss Sig 550 is not made here in Canada. You know what I'm saying? And this is also one of the rifles that is deemed to be scrapped. I haven't seen the whole list. The short list that I heard is, next to the stuff that has been already banned, like the Jaeger 22, that looks like an AK, it got banned by appearance. Not by functionality, by appearance. And we still do this kind of lunacy. Other rifles would be like the Type 97, basically Chinese infantry rifle, basically. It's a bullpup. So what's on the list? Well, the Kriss Vector, the Sig 550-P90, which is a civilian version. Also, the CZ858, the VZ858, and I'm sure SKS and Norinco M14 will eventually fall into those categories. And XCR, XCRM, XCRL, all those, the very few rifles that we do have, basically anything with a pistol grip on it is going to be probably taken away. Has this happened yet? Not yet. But at this state in the game, it is very, very difficult. We need to get proactive. I cannot stress this enough. I'm just going to put my little BB gun down, which somebody commented that they were happy that I showed them it was unloaded. These are, see, there are no BBs in the end. You can see right through them. It is unloaded. So the point is this. We're losing our gun rights. I've been saying this all along. You need to post this to your Facebook. You need to make videos. You need to do one more thing that's really important. Links down below. You're going to have to contact Mr. Vic Toews. And you're going to have to give him a letter, make a letter, whatever. I will write one. I will eventually post it down below. I've already got letters sent to this man. I've got letters sent to a whole bunch of people. If you've watched any of my gun rights videos, if you go through my channel, you'll find all kinds of stuff, but you'll find anything with a picture of me holding the gun you probably want to watch. So, point is this. The Swiss Sig 550, this is a firearm, okay? Here's the logic behind this. It looks too dangerous, okay? Firearms in Canada can be banned by name, reputation, or functionality, okay? Which, name and reputation, or appearance. Yes, almost everybody agrees, including gun owners, that Bill C68 needs to go and be revamped. But we need a sensible firearms legislation, not dictated by chief firearms officers, dictated by the people. Again, all these cold case files, and this is the stuff that our tax dollars are paying for. These people should be not only fired, but they should be put in jail. Why? Mass theft. Here's the thing. Let's take the Swiss Sig 550-P90. The minimum price is probably about $3,000 on that. $3,300 and up is the average. By the time you pay tax on it, you're close to $4,000. You put in any accessories on it, and wow, your $4,000 or $5,000 rifle right there. These rifles have been coming into this country for at least 12 years, and now they're a problem. And again, how many incidents? Okay, with the CZ858, we got 2 incidents where it was used. Banned thousands of them because somebody, because it wasn't a person. Remember, guns pull their own triggers. This is the logic you're dealing with. And of course, these are unrepealable laws. There is no, the Canadian Firearms Centre it doesn't really exist. It's just a guy saying, or a handful of people saying, yeah, we'll ban this, we'll ban that. That's always what it comes out to, is they just ban. There's no science behind it. Oh, it's too easy to convert to from semi-auto to full auto. Well, what do you consider easy to convert? Grab a trigger group, pop it in. That's fairly easy. Oh, wait, grab a trigger group, pull it out. Go get the Buick full of parts, bring it in, machine some stuff, then put it in. Well, you can convert a single shot break barrel 22 to full auto if you have a Buick full of parts in a machine shop. You know what I'm saying? So there's no, and you cannot contest this without billions of dollars into a court. And again, even at that, it's a monopoly on this. It's unrepealable, and it's brought in by bureaucrats, people who have not been elected. I say right now, all chief firearms officers, CFOs of each province that are still around, fire them. No pension, no pay. If they're going to do stuff like that, at best, fire them. Otherwise, put them in jail. They're breaking the law. Why? Because the Swiss Sig 550 that maybe some guy bought 12 years ago, who's went through a background check on a daily basis ever since he's got his... Gun owners take a background check every day in Canada. A lot of people don't know this. We're the most law-abiding people. So he goes through that. He buys this thing. For 12 years, he's law-abiding. There's no victims. There's no crime. And then he wakes up one morning, it's a crime, and now they're going to go and snag this rifle. Now, if they find these rifles, that means the gun registry data is still around. And this is also why I think there was such a push just before the gun registry was kind of getting annexed for the chief firearms officer. Okay, well, ban this before we can't find them. That's what they're doing. Again, they do not trust the people. They fear the people. Why? Well, that's a good thing when they fear the people. I'll let you use your imagination. So, point is this. They're going to take a $4,000 or $5,000 firearm, say, you no longer have the right to own that. Give that piece of property, have a nice day. No compensation to you. A buyback program. What, they're going to pay $5,000, $6,000 plus maybe probably collector's value on top of this to a firearm? No, they're just going to come and take and cut it up with a chainsaw. They did this in Australia. They're going to do it here. They already have done this here. So this is a top-down approach of get the most expensive, extravagant firearms. The people that buy $5,000 rifles are not the people going out doing thuggish things with them. You know what I mean? If they can afford a rifle that expensive, they're usually pretty well off and leave society alone. But we can't trust firearms owners. Not at all. So again, what we're seeing, again, the Kriss factor, that's also one. A manufacturer goes through the trouble of building a firearm completely compliant with the Canadian Firearms Act, only to have them, okay, well, it's no longer compliant. Well, it met all the regulations. Yeah, but we don't like the way it looks. So the CZ858, if you have one, and there's a lot of people have those, even at $600-700, they're working their way down to the SKS. You know what I'm saying? So they're starting with the big stuff because it's less noticeable. Not as many people have it. Okay, well, we'll just take that one off the list. We'll take the other one. If they will ban a Swiss Sig 550, everything under that price range gets banned. This includes AR-15s, AR-10s, NAE-15s, Core 15s, you name it. They're all on the same list. Oh, but I don't have one of those crazy-looking assault rifles, really a tactical semi-auto, because none of them are assault rifles. Why? They don't have a select fire switch. I only have, like, my Browning high-power, it looks like a Model 7600, but in semi-automatic. That's all I have, just a semi-automatic deer hunting rifle. Oh, but it has a droppable magazine. That's kind of like a combat feature. Might as well ban it. And it doesn't have a full barrel shroud, but it has a shroud around the bottom of the barrel. Well, I'm going to ban that too. Again, we're still at that point where people ban firearms by reputation, name, and appearance, not functionality. And even at that, I don't think there's a single firearm on the planet that should really be banned once you've taken a background check, taken a safety course. Machine gun ownership, yes, more training, but that's it. I'm for training, not for the other way around. But what needs to happen now is they got us on the ropes. That fast. So all the activism I've been doing is really going to go down the drain very quickly. And for those of you who don't own a semi-automatic firearm, you only own a bolt action. Well, once the semi-autos are gone, the pump actions and the bolt actions, particularly like Lee Enfields and whatever, are next. It comes down to 3 shots, then 1 shot, then nothing. Ask the Australians. They're going through this, we comply and spend a whole bunch of money, but then they just take the rifle anyway, and they don't reimburse you. It's stealing. It is stealing. It is outright stealing. I don't care if they make it legislation. The moral principle of it, it is stealing. They may be some fancy title, chief firearms officer, but they are still condoning stealing from the general public. This is no different than saying, okay, well, you're driving down the road in your car and say, that car has the potential to drive too fast. Even though you didn't drive too fast, we're going to take it from you, and we're not going to reimburse you from it. You would be outraged. Of course, the mainstream media doesn't really want to cover this issue. They don't want gun owners to unite and wake up. And most people in Canada are pro-gun, even though the media might try. The CBC is very left-wing, and they go with the Liberal agenda, the Liberal Party for the most part. And they hate gun owners. They're slowly starting to get to the point where it's like, hey, there's an awful lot of them, and they do, they are speaking out, so we better kind of maybe, take a moment and listen to them, because it could affect how people vote. And that's what it comes down to. It always comes down to money. Now, these chief firearms officers, again, a waste of taxpayers' dollars. People have had family members murdered, cold case files that have never been solved, and this is the type of person that's going around saying, okay, well, let's just go harass gun owners who have never hurt anybody, who have never broke the law, and, are not committing any offenses, and let's go steal their firearms. That's what they're doing, rather than getting down to some real police work, getting out on the streets, and going after the real bad guys. And again, whenever a firearm's used in one firearm, one incident, whatever. Look at Polytechnic. The Ruger 1022 was used. They didn't ban that, but they banned a whole bunch of other things like M16s, M14s, FNFALs, you name it. They banned those all. Some of those were banned before, but they really put a whole bunch of them. They didn't even touch it because they forgot all about it. They didn't know what it is, And that's the problem, is most people making firearms legislation in Canada do not know what firearms is. The good news is that we're starting to, alternative media is starting to bring us together, but we need to get active. Down below, there's going to be links for Vic Toews. He's the public safety minister. We need to, activism will trump the funding of the Coalition for Gun Control, and that's probably where this is kind of coming from. The NDP is very, and plus the United Nations Small Arms Trade Treaty deal, the Conservatives have sold us out. Every one of the government parties is against guns. You need to know that. I have contacted enough of them to say, okay, I'm getting the Conservatives are neutral at best. They can be swayed if they think they can get votes out of it, but make it a voting issue. Say, hey, you know what? Let's get a sensible Firearms Act. Never mind this banning by name, reputation, or barrel length and stupid stuff like that. Let's go with training, education. If you want to keep the background checks for liability, sure. But you have to do this. I am ordering you to call. Be polite. Write. Whatever. I will post the link down below, and then after that I will post some other messages, a letter or something, to send to Vic Toews and overwhelm him. Just get that public support in there. Or we not only lose semi-autos. After semi-autos, it's going to be lever action, bolt actions, break barrels, then nothing. So post this to your Facebook, spread it around, give it a thumbs up. Definitely call your MPs and MLAs. Get active now. Because don't wait till they ban it. Once they ban it, it took 17 years to almost get rid of the gun registry. It still exists here in Quebec, and I'm sure the records of all those SIG 550s are probably still around as well. And again, the United Nations Small Arms Treaty deal will probably end up banning the shipment from where rifles from over into European countries coming here will probably be banned in the future. So again, we've been sold out. So I'm very mad about this. So if you love your guns, call, get active, make videos, post to your Facebook, all that stuff. All right, leave your comments below. Hi and welcome. If you have small children, please tell them to look away now, because I'm going to have to show my vexed face. And when you see me do that face, and we talked about this, that's something bad happened. Okay, what's this video about? Loss of gun rights in Canada. Apparently for all those people who keep us safe and those who do not believe we are capable of thinking for ourselves, chief firearms officers, CFOs of the RCMP, have now said, oh, we are concerned about the, these deadly weapons that we have in Canada. Our Firearms Act needs to be updated. So they sent off the best I understand, they sent off a list of rifles to Vic Toews, who, at this point, I can't stress enough, you are going to have to get proactive if you want to keep your gun rates. This means your bolt actions, your semi-automatics, brake barrels, it's incremental. Again, anybody that's been following my channel has realized how many gun rights from machine gun ownership to now where we're at, how much we've lost. And it's always giving up being reasonable because we think and we believe. So what do the chief firearms officers think and believe? Well, apparently a CZ858 was used in a crime, which those of you who are not familiar with this rifle, it's a neat little rifle. Go look into it. I won't get too much into it. It looks like an AK, but it's not. And it was also, that was the same rifle that was used on the PQ assassination attempt. Pauline Marois, that idiot. Which I'm pretty sure she'd be pretty happy. Now, if you're a Quebec gun owner, this is where you go, hey, aren't you happy that the law Quebecois is? Because if this bill passes, which so far Vic Toews has said, no, we don't need to update it. But when it does pass, that means all the registered rifles in Quebec are now going to be easy pickings for the RCMP. So once again, this is not the government bringing in law. This is police bringing